podcast. We'll talk about that sometime.
Let's get dirty.
So sometime down the road, that would be a good topic.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
So, but hey, we were gonna talk about developing confidence.
Cool, let's do it. Yeah,
a little bit. And I kind of floated the idea with you about how do you develop confidence and not without becoming arrogant and prideful in the wrong kind of ways. And I'm curious for you how you've seen that both as a martial artist, maybe developing yourself, but also as you train others. How do you help students with that, whether they're maybe too arrogant or they're so insecure they can't,
Yeah. For me, it's easy personally. For me, one of the reasons I really got into martial arts, I got into it, first of all, I think because of just the love of the movement, and it was just mystical and cool. But I think I probably really stuck with it because I was bullied relentlessly. If you think about, I'm a little guy. Obviously, I'm still a little guy. And even then, I was like a littler guy. And, plus my parents are poor. And then add those two. So, so when everyone else is wearing Levi's, I'm wearing Tough Skins. Do you even know what Tough Skins are?
Yes,
okay.
I do. No, I had... There were times in my life where we were pretty wealthy, but there were times where we were dirt poor too.
Gotcha.
Like I got kind of both ends of the spectrum a little bit.
That's probably rare.
Yeah,
I can't imagine too many people live both.
Probably not. Yeah, but I did. There were times when my mom would skip meals so I could eat, and then there were times when and it has a lot to do with who she was married to at the time.
Oh, interesting.
Or not married, but where we had a lot. So
yeah. So anyway, and that means a lot. I think when you're a kid. So we're not wealthy. We're poor, and then I've got funny looking clothes, and then worse than that, though, they would like to move every 6 months.
Right.
So I don't think I ever stayed in a school more than a year.
Wow.
So I'm talking about ever. So I'm talking from kindergarten to high school. Imagine moving twice a year every year.
Wow.
And so you're always the new kid. So I'm poor.
Yeah.
If I look funny, I'm little, and I'm always the new kid. So as soon as I would develop friends, and then I'd have to do it again.
Yeah.
And back then I wasn't very confident. I wasn't like the kid who was gonna I'm gonna meet new friends and come up and start high fiving kids in the playground and be like, hey, I'm your new friend. I was a kid hiding in the corner, hoping not to get my butt whooped. And so then when I did martial arts, it's like that all changed. And I don't know if it was just the way I started carrying myself, my confidence, and then I did whoop a couple kids because they
sometimes you gotta do that. There's a place for that.
They tested me, and so kind of after that was like the word going around, that Frizon kid,
don't mess with
that Frizon kid. I think he's like a black belt now, and this, that, I'm serious.
Yeah.
And so all of that kind of into one, developed my confidence.
Yeah.
And, similar to your path, it's funny because even our timelines are similar. Like when martial arts is my haven. So, being a youth leader, youth group leader for you is like yours. Like me was being a martial arts instructor, and it was similar timelines.
Yeah. So, because we're not that far apart in age.
So when I was 17, 18, 19, I was teaching people martial arts.
That's
and
awesome.
so that was my refuge was martial arts.
Yeah.
Whereas yours was the church. And so anyway, so through that path, and we did a lot of leadership courses and stuff in my martial arts school. And I had to teach a lot, which I was not comfortable with to begin with. So it just developed my confidence.
Yeah.
And so I guess the reason that never turned into arrogance is guys like Eric Paulson, Andre Galvao, Chris Clark, and I'm a world champion, so I'm all right. I'm not a bad, martial artist.
Right.
But when you just realize there's levels to
there's another, there's always somebody better, right?
Always someone better.
Yeah. And I think that's really important to remember. I had a lot of insecurities growing up too. In a lot of ways, and I do know what Tough Skins are. I wore Tough Skins, and
that's awesome.
And we went down to I'm trying to remember the name of that store. There was one of these mall store, strip mall stores. Mm-hmm. Can't remember the name of it, but it was like everything was super cheap. It was probably made in China, and the whole thing, and it was like $10 for a pair of jeans or something instead of 50 or whatever the case might be. And I don't know. My dream was to have a pair of Union Bay jeans. Did you?
I don't remember Union Bay.
You don't remember Union Bay?
I don't remember.
That was my dream. That was everybody was wearing at my school. I was like,
Gotcha.
Man, I'm gonna save up my $50 and get me a pair of Union Bay. I did eventually save up that much.
Oh
man,
I'm gonna have to look those up. After this is done, I'm gonna Google them.
Yeah. But I was insecure too. Same reasons. A lot of them. Even though I played sports and I played football and ran track one year and lifted weights. And I did have, some of my friends were more popular and things like that and on sports teams, but I would still get picked on by them. So the same guys I said, hey, that's my friend, would, turn around and kind of bully me a little bit, almost like an initiation rite or something. And one of them was Sean Shirk, which is why I mentioned him earlier, because I went to high school with him. And
like, man, you picked on one of my students, bro.
No, he didn't pick on me, but I didn't know him that well. He was a year younger than me, but anyways, so we, but there were guys, and they just kind of pushed me around a little bit, and a lot of them were wrestlers and knew how to handle themselves, as far as how the body movements and leverage and how strength worked and all that kind of stuff. And I just didn't have that. And so there were times where I'd get kind of pushed around a little bit, even though it wasn't super mean spirited,
Gotcha.
But it was enough to really bother me. And then my home life was a mess, like I mentioned.
Yeah. So you have no refuge.
Yeah. So I had no refuge. And so I just was really insecure and, watched my mom, be abused and things like that. And so that's really scary, that we literally had go bags.
Wow.
We had go bags. And so my mom would go, all right, we got to go, cause my stepdad would come home and he's drunk or whatever the case might be. She was fearful. And so she's like, I'm taking my son and getting out of here. Crazy. And so we'd go stay in hotels and, wasn't like every week, but it was often enough. And so I had a lot of insecurities and in some ways that's part of why I found martial arts, but it's also where my faith comes from too, is that I kind of had to get to a point, okay, God's my protector, because I knew I couldn't protect myself and those kinds of things. And it's interesting how a lot of those things can be so difficult, because then everything looks huge when you have insecurities. Everything looks like you can't overcome it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so huge. And I know we were texting a little bit earlier and just talking about, one of the students at the gym, who's in one of the classes I help with, came in and was really scared, because everything was so overwhelming, and just felt like they couldn't do it. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. And I have some thoughts about like, how do you overcome that? But what do you tell students? Like they're scared. It's too much. I mean, how do you address that as far as, because I'm sure you've had lots of students that have probably struggled with that kind of thing.
It's tough with people, because I think a lot of it comes from judging, like maybe they think someone's judge, and then it kind of goes back to me as a child getting bullied.
Yeah.
And if I would have just flipped the script in my mind,
right.
I wish I had parents that were capable enough to understand that and flip it in my mind and realize it's all mindset, because I bet you I could have rocked in there with those tough skins. If I was super confident and just came in, I bet you that I would have been everyone's friend.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just crazy. It's like, you see people that, even people that are unattractive or overweight or whatever, but their confidence is like off the charts.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know what I mean? You see like this big fat dude with like the hottest girl in the entire like state. Like, how did that happen? And then you talk to the dude for 5 minutes and you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah,
it's because this guy's amazing. You know what I mean? He's funny, he's charming, he makes you feel good, all these things, right?
Smart or whatever,
Exactly. And so I think the same thing, me, even though maybe I look funny, like, if I would have had that overbrimming confidence, had that ability, and so same thing, I think when a new student comes in, it's just like, like you said, it's like that pressure of like, oh my gosh, well, this person's looking at me and I bet you I look funny to this person.
Yeah.
And I bet you that person's judging me. And maybe you don't have the words for it, but that's subliminally somewhere going on back there. So if you can change that mindset, I think, and just, talk to them and say, hey, no one cares.
Yeah.
Like you're here for you. This is your journey.
Compare yourself to you yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And if we can just take it step by step, like, are you progressing, right? Are you getting stronger or thinner or in better shape? Or are you, X, Y, Z, whatever it is? I think that's what matters, and if you can change that frame in someone's mind, that's the trick.
Yeah.
But the trick is to be able to recognize that they are feeling that way and get them fast.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'll be too late.
Then they're gone.
They're gone, man. And it's sad because you could really help someone. You could change their lives, but they don't give themselves the chance. So.
Yeah. And I, as I was thinking about it, I think a lot of times people, success breeds success and failure breeds failure. And what I mean by that is not so much can I do this move or can I, and that kind of stuff. But really, I think success is oftentimes just not quitting and just going, I was overwhelmed today. I couldn't figure this out. Everybody else seemed to get it, but I didn't. But if they will stick through and figure that one thing out, then it's like, oh, I figured that out. It took me a little longer, maybe, or whatever. I struggled with it, but I figured it out. And then they're like, okay, I can figure out the next thing. Mm-hmm. And they figure out that. And then I figure out the next thing. And it kind of builds that confidence. And all of a sudden, they're like, yeah, I can do it. They have success. And I think about the tough-mindedness of that. I think that's required. And you gave me a book, the Goggins book, David Goggins. And
Can't Hurt Me.
You can't hurt me, right? Yeah. And I've been reading that. I'm not done with it yet, but I've been reading that, and it's amazing because he has a really crazy story and some insecurities and stuff like that. But it was kind of the same thing, like, he just didn't quit. Yeah. And sometimes that's it. Just don't quit. And all of a sudden you accomplish that one thing, and it seems like then everything like seems smaller. The barriers, and I can overcome that. It's for years I was overweight. I wasn't always 250 pounds, but I was heavy. And then I went to went to seminary and got my master's degree. And during that time, I got heavier and got up to that 250. And I remember thinking, man, I can't ever lose weight. There's no way I can't do it, because I would go work out 3-4 days a week, and I'd gain weight.
You've lost like 80 pounds with us, right?
80 pounds, yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome. It's like a whole person almost. At least a half a person.
Right, yeah.
At least a half a person.
Yeah. A child anyways, right? I give birth. I know, that's weird. Okay. But anyway, but you stick with it, and it's interesting because all of a sudden I lost 10 pounds, and it's like, oh, I can lose weight. That can happen. And, I made a couple tweaks in my diet, and then, and all of a sudden I'm losing 10 pounds, and then all of a sudden I lost 15, then I lost 20, and then I lost, hey, I can do this. I can actually lose weight. And I literally thought there's something with my body chemistry that I can't lose weight. That was what I believed prior to actually losing weight. Wow,
that's crazy, isn't it? Self-limiting belief. Yeah. I didn't know. That's funny. I didn't know that you had that thought. That's crazy.
Yeah. I would literally tell people that. I'd be like, man, I just can't lose weight, man. I go work out all the time, and it just doesn't matter. I can't lose weight. Because I would literally go to the gym, and I would do like 45 minutes to an hour of cardio, and then I'd go do some light lifting. I wasn't doing heavy lifting, but just kind of higher rep stuff, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to put on weight, and I'd gain weight at times.
Crazy. Do you think that was mainly diet, or just how you were working out, or what you were, like why would you say that? What was the mechanism that was causing you to gain weight or not lose weight?
Yeah, I think it was a couple things. One was diet, for sure. Mm-hmm. That was a piece of it. And I used to drink like 6 to 8 cans of Mountain Dew every single day. And just ate whatever I wanted. And then I'd tell myself I was trying to eat healthier because I'd only drink 4 cans of Mountain Dew, and
gotcha.
like that kind of stuff. And then I think the other piece of it was the way I was working out. I had my knees hurt a lot at the time. I was heavier, and so my knees hurt and stuff. And I quit doing because I used to do 14ers and stuff like that. And then I quit doing them because it just hurt. And then so I'd always be on these ellipticals, and if you have to be on elliptical, that's fine, but it's not the same as running.
Not the same.
It's just a different world. And so I think really for me, doing coming into the martial arts program and doing the simple stuff, the shrimps down the mat, and being exhausted at the end of one time down the mat, just going, oh my gosh, because I was an athlete, so it was weird for me. Mm-hmm. But just the stuff, because it wasn't high impact, a lot of it, and I was able to do a lot of not high impact, but it still required a lot of exercise, a lot of resistance and things like that. And so I think the combination of how I was working out, along with diet, really made it. And then Coach K really helped me fine tune that after I'd already lost some weight, but really helped me fine tune it. And then I lost a whole bunch more after that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was really cool. And so I think that gave me confidence. It's always been these little successes. So my mom didn't go to college. My dad didn't go to college. My grandpa did college. My uncle did college, but for me, going to college was a big step. Not a lot of people in my family had done it. And I don't think my grandpa ever graduated. My uncle eventually did, but he went back later in life. And so even that, and it took me longer than a lot of people, but then that one success was like, oh yeah, I can do that. Cause I entered college on academic probation. Then I entered seminary on academic probation. Nice. And I wasn't sure about seminary either. Those insecurities, right? And I took one class and I went, okay, I'm going to take one class. Just see how it goes. And I got a B. I was like, all right, I can handle the workload. So that one success. All of a sudden, okay, I'm going to go back. And then I had, I could have graduated with honors. I didn't, you had to apply and stuff like that. I didn't do that, but I had a high enough GPA to graduate with honors and all that kind of stuff. And I think those simple successes really helped me to kind of go, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think like you said, that's the key, is because, if you try to eat the whole thing in one bite, man, it's going to just feel overwhelming. Yeah. But we have those guys, we know them, right? Where that confidence turns into cockiness, and it's tough, right? Because you want someone to be confident and have that pride about themselves, but then it can flip into arrogance.
Yeah.
I think the best example of that's like a Mayweather. I mean, that guy, when you talk about just like the cockiest, most arrogant person in the world.
Yeah.
But I mean, he is probably the best. If he's not the best boxer ever, I would say that he's arguably top 5 ever to walk the earth. Definitely, for sure, currently the best.
Yeah.
And but he's just so like over the top, arrogant and cocky and stuff like that. And especially in martial arts, it's a little bit different in sports, but especially in martial arts, that's kind of a like a big no-no, so to speak, right? Like, that kind of goes against the martial way. It goes against being a black belt. It goes, against a lot of the tenets that we have in martial arts, to be respectful and be humble. And so it can kind of become a problem. It's a fine line, man. And the funny thing is, I've seen it like the story you're talking about, where the unconfident, kind of awkward, not the best student, like then becomes good, and then they get cocky, and then it's like, oh God, what just happened, man? Right. You were on such a good path,
right?
It was like, man, we fed him all this stuff, or her all this stuff, where it's like, yes, confidence growing. Oh, good, awesome. We're starting to tip over to the other side, arrogant, cocky. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh man, we just went too far the other way, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of sad.
Yeah. Well, and I think about you. As far as me, I'm not. I'm pretty early in my martial arts journey, and like I'm okay. But I think about you, and you walk around. You're black belt. You've been doing martial arts your whole life. You've got multiple black belts or black belt level rankings, and all this stuff. And I'm just kind of wondering, when you walk around the gym, you're probably the best guy in the gym. Almost all the time, if not all the time. Maybe once in a while when somebody comes through, like Andre Galvao comes in or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering, how do you manage that, as far as, because my experience with you is you're a humble guy.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
and stuff like that. And so how do you manage that as far as yourself?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's tough too, because, going back to Mayweather, or, if you want to use another example like Conor McGregor, like there has to be a point, especially when I was competing more. I mean, I quit competing in like 2011. But back then, I don't think I was different as a person. But leading up to that match or that fight or whatever I was doing, like you got to really believe you're the best, or at least believe you can beat that other person. And you got to kind of constantly feed yourself that mantra. So it's interesting, because it's this fine line between like, okay, telling yourself every day you're the best, you're unbeatable, but then like not being cocky, right? And I think the biggest thing that I see, and a thing like Professor Andre, that I've learned from him, is I've never heard him say he's the best. I've never heard him puff his chest up and like Mayweather will literally run around the gym. I'm the best. I'm undefeatable. You can't beat me. I'm too fast. You know what I mean? Like Muhammad Ali style, right?
Yeah.
Like he got back from Muhammad Ali. And I've never seen Andre do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what I have seen him do is, I work harder than anyone.
Yeah.
I'm more dedicated than anyone. I put in more rounds than anyone. You know what I mean? And so I think the reason that he was able, and I feel like I hope myself as well, is like, not I'm the best, but I work the hardest.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what flips from like a confident dealio. Like I'm well prepared. I train hard. I know my stuff. And I'm working harder than anyone. That's like a confidence instilling, versus like I'm better than, better than anyone or, you know, superior to someone. That's more like an arrogance level.
Right.
And so that's the way that I feel. For me, you know, I've always been able to stay humble, and then just knowing like, man, there's always someone
right.
better, you know, I mean, there just is. Even if it's on any given day, you know, all those guys have lost.
Yeah. Even if you beat somebody 9 out of 10 times, there's still that 10th time.
Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And I think that's huge. And I know that, you know, for me, I go to the gym and I get tapped all the time. And, you know, it's so as far as that's concerned, I don't have a hard time staying humble. But I do think, you know, I had a pastor one time. I was an associate level position. I think for me, you know, he cautioned me at times. He's like, you know, because I would preach when he didn't and stuff like that. You know, he was on vacation or just needed whatever the thing was. And say, John, you're going to preach, and I go preach, and you know, you're the change up guy, right? So you get all the accolades. Oh, that was awesome. Because they're so used to this other thing. And then you get up and preach.
Gotcha.
And then people are like, oh, that's so great. And we love how you preach.
You're like the cool uncle.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's so true.
You don't get the good and the bad. You just get to come in and be the cool uncle.
Yeah. And it was you know, builds your ego. And it's really easy to go, oh yeah. And you start to think, you know, oh, maybe I'm better than, you know, the pastor or whatever. And people would even say that stuff. Like they would say, wow, I really like you better than pastor whoever, you know, or in front of the other pastor, you know, they'd say, oh yeah, to him, they'd say, well, you better watch yourself, be like, you know, or job. And they're joking, but that builds you up. You know, you hear those comments. And I got cautioned one time, and I remembered it, and he says, don't believe your own press.
That's awesome.
You know, and I think that's really good advice that to help keep you humble is, look, there's always somebody, just like at times, especially if you get up and do public speaking and stuff, there's always somebody that's going to criticize you. There's always somebody that's going to tell you these really great, wonderful, positive things. And sometimes they even have visions of you because of your position. You know, I'm the one up on stage speaking. And so for them, it's kind of, this is going to sound weird, but you know, they kind of envision you in a certain way, but they don't really know you.
Yeah.
You know, they don't know your downfalls, your faults, your screw ups. They don't know that stuff. All they see is the person on stage. The rock star.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so sometimes they'll say things and you just kind of gotta go, they don't know. You know, there's enough bad about me too that, you know, to keep me humble. And so your critics sometimes remind you of that, but anyways, yeah. Confidence is huge though, because it can breed success, but you know, it can also arrogance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can harm success. You know, you become unteachable.
Line. Yeah, that's the tough. I mean, from my perspective, at least, is you know, when I'm trying to teach someone and they're unteachable like that, it's just tough because people plateau so hard, right? And so they'll have this really tight fast arc where they get good quickly, but then they just plateau forever.
Yeah.
Because, you know, your cup's, you know, right, like that old adage, right? Your cup's full, right? You know, and so if it's full, I mean, you're right, you can't add anything more to it. So having an empty cup and being teachable and realizing there's so much more to learn, you know, it's so important, you know? Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks, man. This has been fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're going to wrap this thing up.
I think we're going to wrap it up.
Cool.
And and look forward for more.
Man, it's going to be fun. I know this one was kind of a gentle subject, but I'm sure we're going to get into some less gentle subjects.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, with like toxic masculinity.
That'd be fun. We'll definitely do that one.
Yeah, awesome.
Definitely
I know we're going to have some special guests coming up soon too. So
yeah, hopefully we're working on one specifically. And maybe
you know, I've got two in mind. I was thinking Ben, of course, Ben Pexton, and I was also thinking Zach Lessman.
Oh, that would be a great story.
So, you know, I don't know if you heard about Zach, but he just got, you know, cleared. He's in remission. So that's pretty wild. He's got a cool story. They both have on different levels.
Yeah.
Like super cool stories.
Yes.
They're both inspirational people.
Yeah. So, very awesome. And I get to roll with Zach all the time. He's amazing. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So look forward to some really great stuff. So until next time.
Right on, brother.
All right.
Peace.